Tramps, the Tottenham Bar here in Austin, Texas.
Absolutely. Spurs.
So I'm going to introduce
North London boys.
the people to my left here. First and foremost, we have Johnathan Green. You can find him at Speed Green on Twitter. And to his left, the one, the only, the Smash Simmons. Okay, don't throw whatever that was at our guest. We have a live studio audience or a live bar audience today.
Yeah.
Out at Mr. Tramps.
Shout out to Lee. Happy birthday to Lee.
Happy birthday, Lee.
He says thank you.
What do you want for your birthday, Lee? Maybe a possible Premier League win?
All he wants for Christmas is the Champions League.
He wants a trophy.
Exactly. 14 years, I believe.
Correct answer. We're going to talk about Premier League today.
Yeah.
Not a preseason trophy.
That doesn't count.
Well,
more Spurs fans arriving.
We're going to be talking about the trophy that counts, that is the Premier League. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our preview episode. We're going to run through all of the teams, everything you need to know that happened in the offseason, and everything we're anticipating is going to happen this year.
Right. But I want to precurse all of that and say one of the world's greatest players has just transferred today.
Hey!
Wayne Rooney, 33 years old. He's out of America. He's out the MLS. And he's gone to Derby.
Is that where he's going?
Derby County.
I saw the news. I got the push notification from Major League Soccer that said this would be his last year with DC United.
Yep, he's going to finish the season, and it doesn't surprise me because he's been doing his coach's badges.
Yeah.
His kids haven't settled in the States. Didn't surprise me, and I know the wife didn't settle in the States. They're back to the north of England where they grew up because Derby's just down the road from Manchester, really. And I think that's the main reason. But actually, the bigger reason is he wants to be a coach. He's 33. He's going to be a player coach, not be a manager.
Yeah.
But that's where he's going.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's a really, for the first division, it's a fantastic coup.
Oh, well, yes, but I was going to ask you all, how much does that hurt MLS and with a little bit of its overseas viability?
I don't think it does hurt the MLS because we had this conversation last time.
But
I
feel like it pulled eyes over here from England.
Oh, no, yeah, it does. I mean,
it kind of hurts our international
It does, yeah. I mean, it's not, it's like a bit of a, if all of them quit at the same time, it would be bad. But it just shows you that the type of international player, and Wayne Rooney is certainly not past his sell-by, that MLS can now get guys not who are 40 and past it in the Premier League. They can get guys who are still capable of playing at the highest level.
Yeah, but does that sell kits? Does it sell tickets?
Not in the MLS, but that's Rooney's experience in America will only encourage others to do the same.
Well, would a good young, because I thought about this all day, would a good young...
Go ahead and read your question off your piece of paper.
I know, right? Because I thought about this exact question.
Yeah, here we go.
Would a great young player be able to replicate the success that Wayne Rooney has brought to the MLS?
And hold on. Before we answer that, I want to pose that question to anyone that is watching us now live on YouTube. Thanks to our friends over at SHN Sports. If you are watching us right now, we want to ask you to please subscribe. You'll get notified every single time SHN Sports goes live, including for our show here, The Throw in ATX.
I'm putting your shades on. No, my shades on for this. Drum roll.
Okay. Is it a little bright in here? What do we got?
What's the question?
If there was like some great South American player that came over, but when I say great, I'm not talking about like world-class changing. Yeah, it's just another good, solid player. Would that be enough to get a fan base riled up the way that Wayne Rooney has been able to rile up not just his own personal fan base, but all of MLS?
Yeah, I mean, the Abramoviches and the Rooneys are, they're once in a blue moon world players anyway. And they absolutely ignite any fan base.
I know, but
there's 10 players in the world that can do that.
But even Frankie Lampard,
right?
And that guy is no slouch.
No, but he
didn't have the impact on MLS like we thought he would when he came over.
No, and it's horses for courses. It's who you get to play with. Frankly, I think the other reason that Rooney's going is that he was a one-man team. I mean, let's face it. Were it not for half the things that Rooney did, I don't think Atlanta would be as far up as they are. And I hope he takes them to fame and glory, as it were. But
we talk about this every single time we bring up the retirement league aspect of Major League Soccer. It's not a retirement league if it is a pathway to bigger and better things. I think it can be argued that Wayne Rooney wanted to be a manager before he even went to DC United. And
he started doing his coach's badges and so on. Yeah.
If it helped him get to the next step in his career, why is that such a bad thing?
And I honestly believe that he felt that the move to America was going to lead to a coaching position, because who wouldn't, in an American setup, take Wayne Rooney, who has access to, like Beckham, has access to all the greatest players in the world. Everybody would want to play either with or for Rooney. So that was, I think, what the intention was to start off with. But the family didn't settle into the States. It's as simple as that.
I mean, I guess I'm just saddened with the fact that we
yeah.
won't get to see him play Austin FC.
That's actually mine too.
And, I think for fans of the show that have been with, the throw-in as it was from long ago, you'll know that I have a younger half-sister, Olivia, who is the world's biggest Wayne Rooney fan. She was devastated when he left Manchester United.
Is she physically the biggest, or she just?
She's actually quite tiny.
Good.
She's quite small, but she is one of.
Sorry,
but she has a good right foot, though, man.
Miss
Christodoulides. Yeah,
I'll delete it.
But I'm telling you, you missed out last year. We had that game over at Coda, and she's got one hell of a delivery to the box.
She's a great soccer player.
She's quite a good soccer player.
That's a whole new subject.
Yeah. But she is a huge fan of Wayne Rooney. She had her entire room was painted in Manchester United colors. She's obviously taken on the persona of a Manchester United fan a lot more than I am.
That just says that you are a bad influence.
No, it just says that my dad is a
brother.
bad influence. We've talked about this on the show before, that one of the main reasons why I'm a Manchester United fan is because of my father, and if I wanted a place to live growing up.
We've all got that kind of weird cross to bear. It's kind of like this sort of psychosomatic kind of, he made me do it.
No, father. You've got to. I mean, especially here in the States, if you say that you're a Manchester United fan, it comes with, no, but hold on. There's a real reason. It's not just because they're one of the biggest clubs around and they're the easiest.
Okay. So my scar was my father was a Burnley fan. So clearly I didn't want to be a Burnley fan. First of all, they wore
But
purple.
you had the luxury of being able to pick a team other than Burnley.
Well, no.
No, he was sent down on the streets.
Exactly. My dad was a Burnley fan, so he was trying to get me into a light blue shorts and purple, which wasn't good.
Yeah, light blue's not a good color, is it, Justin?
And it was Norwich or Ipswich. Well, Norwich played in yellow and green, and that wasn't happening. There were Canaries.
The Canaries.
So the closest thing was Ipswich Town, who play in blue, like this shirt. This is San Marino. But
actually, that's a beautiful kit.
Thank you.
Very rare.
This is the national team of San Marino, the smallest country in the footballing world. And I just think I'm advertising the fact that I'm available for San Marino if you want.
As a player manager?
Do you qualify?
As a coach manager.
As a coach manager.
How do you qualify for San Marino?
No, as a coach player manager.
Coach player manager.
And bus driver.
Okay.
Well,
I think you might have the best looking bus driver than anything else.
How do you qualify for San Marino? Is it like great-great-great-grandmother?
Honestly, I think you just need to show
up.
up.
You don't need to be born there.
People that live there.
You don't need to be born there to be the bus driver for the team.
No, I think San Marino, I think you can buy your way in. So.
All right, guys.
Let's get back to what you were saying.
Yeah, no. On today's show, we're going to be talking all about the Premier League and, what we thought of the last season, where we see things going this year, and there's a lot to talk about. I, for one, have not seen a preseason poll that has any team but Manchester United, or Manchester City, rather, at the top. Manchester City is at the top of
wish
everyone's.
It was United.
No, that was a Freudian slip there.
This is not 1999, man.
Every single preseason, guess at who's going to be at the top has Manchester City there. And frankly, I'm tired of it. It's not a fun choice.
Before we jump into that Premier League talk, may I ask you what you guys think about the possibilities of Mesut Ozil coming in to fill Wayne Rooney's spot? That's what was the latest news coming out after hearing about Rooney going over to Derby County, is that Ozil is thinking about coming over to DC United. His agents are supposed to be meeting with DC United personnel later on this week to discuss that possible move. Is that the type of superstar? And, I mean, the guy has won a World Cup. Is that the type of superstar that would sell kits and make people excited to be DC United fans?
Well, it's not Rooney, but I hear you. And what I mean by that is that Rooney just had a worldwide reputation for his his excitement. I mean, his way to turn a game in 5 minutes. That said, you're right. I will say this: they need something, because the impetus will die quickly with the team once he's gone. He's going to play out the season, so they need. You're right. They need an impact player. Whether it be Ozil or whether it be somebody similar, I don't know.
When I think about Wayne Rooney, I mean, obviously, yeah. But the reason why he gets those type of chance, though, is because of his grit. Not necessarily just because he's a great player, but it's because he always gave you the effort.
Yeah.
And that's something and that's something that was evident even here in MLS, is that he had given effort where other older players probably wouldn't try so hard. He was playing like he was still 22.
Well, that's why I think he's a bit like Shearer. I mean, sorry,
No, you're good.
he's 33, but I mean, I don't have any problem with him being at 35 still being able to score world-class goals.
No,
I really don't.
Cue the montage of all of the goals that he's scored for DC United that everyone has said, oh, no player over 30 years old is able to score goals like that. And he's done it time and time again, and it's not a detriment to what's going on with the rest of the league. It just shows you how good Wayne Rooney really is.
And he will go down in history. I mean, we talk about some of the great English players. I mean, he is the highest scoring English player to have played the game. I mean, it's insane.
What's his MLS legacy?
I think he did. I think it will be that he'll take them to the playoffs and then let the chips lie where they are. They might go all the way.
I'll give you the easy answer. The new stadium that they're playing in
Yeah.
is because of a guy like him.
Okay.
I know he didn't have to be there in order to necessarily win things to build the stadium, but getting a player of his caliber to build the type of excitement to rally a fan base that knew that they were going to have to pay for some of that stadium to go ahead and let that happen. Yeah. Definitely important. I feel like that house he built.
Yeah, and I'll say this. You talk about the sort of retiree-type players coming to the States and how does the MLS stack up and where does it fit? Honestly, the fact that MLS is now shown live in the UK on Sky Sports, which are the big purveyor of soccer, and the fact that he's gone back to Derby County, who are no fools either, means that he's still at the top of his game. He's going in a different direction, but I think it opens the door up, and it does no harm to the MLS that he took the plunge in the first place. Beckham's team are coming online next year. We've got our franchise coming. I think more and more players from the Premiership, don't laugh.
I'm laughing about Beckham's franchise and wondering if it's actually going to see the light of day. I know they got players, they got a logo.
When Posh lets him out the house, it'll happen.
Do you think there is a return to Old Trafford for Wayne Rooney?
No.
Ever.
Testimonial.
Maybe as a manager.
As a manager. Not as a player, as a manager.
Cool. That would be,
or
that would be the Messiah returning, wouldn't it?
Right, yeah. As
that or Everton.
Yeah, exactly. I think Everton would be probably more likely than
That
Manchester United.
would be more likely.
Yeah.
I think he'd struggle. My worry about Wayne Rooney is that I don't know if he's got the wherewithal to deal with being under the microscope as a manager. He's quite shy. He's a brilliant footballer. He's probably going to be a brilliant coach, but that's on the practice field.
I'd rather see a Ryan Giggs in charge at Old Trafford than I would a Wayne Rooney character.
Or Solskjaer. What's wrong with Solskjaer?
Nothing's wrong with Solskjaer.
All former players.
I'm a big fan of Solskjaer. I mean,
I
have a player
kid. Wayne Rooney said today, he's played for the special one.
Yeah.
Who's not so special at the moment. In fact, he's rather off. Van Gaal.
David Moyes.
And obviously Alex Ferguson.
The chosen one.
He said that his greatest coach, without a doubt, was Van Gaal.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
I was going in a completely different direction. I thought you were going to say a completely different name.
Who? Ferguson?
No,
I know, and I thought that too. Yeah. And when he said that, and he was quite vociferous about it, he said, that's what I learned so much for. I've never been coached by a better man. That's who I'm going to take my lead from. He was almost dishing Ferguson.
I thought it was because Van
certainly
Gaal
dishing the special one who never gave him a game.
Wow, that's true. I mean, the way you were presenting
Mourinho to get Brighton or some other team where Rooney comes up against him and goes,
yeah,
I'm still here.
The
way you were leading into that, I thought you were going to go, and his favorite coach of all time was, and then it was going to be like some, one of the traditional names, and then you just went in a completely different direction.
I mean, it's
Louis Van Gaal's Red Army. You remember when he got really drunk and yelled that out?
Yes.
Louis Van Gaal's Red Army.
He's an inspiration.
I was going to say that the players seem to have liked him. I was only like when he starts losing the fans start
fans. Yeah, the fans turned on that.
Yeah. Kind of weird how that works.
We have got DC United against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia are 4-1 up on this previous game that we're watching here in the
DC United with 10 players, not because Wayne Rooney left. That's not a.
He's on the plane.
Yeah, he's already gone. No, that's not what's happening.
So
there.
what's our? I mean, I jumped in with the Wayne Rooney thing, but I thought it was important.
No, it is important.
Yeah.
And it's good to break the news a little bit here. I mean, it was something that happened as I was sitting at the bar here at Mr. Tramp, so I was like, oh, that's quite interesting.
Nice segue.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, though, about MLS All-Star Game. Just because we didn't get a chance to talk about it,
Does it matter that they lost?
Yes, does it matter that we lost? That was going to be my main question.
I don't think it really matters. I'm probably on the
matter?
minority. I'm in the minority in that I would rather see an East versus West All-Star game than I would to see a Major League Soccer All-Star game versus some foreign power. I think that the league is at a point now where we have enough talent that we could see an East versus West game that would actually be more fun to watch for fans of the league. Because the casual fans aren't going to get involved in this All-Star game. The All-Star game in baseball doesn't even really matter.
Yeah, notice the Pro Bowl.
Whoa, youngster, wait.
Not
I
anymore.
know, I'm not a big baseball fan myself.
And everyone that's watching on YouTube, thanks to our friends at SHN Sports.
I agree with
really?
you, but unlike, I know because you guys don't have them in Europe. You guys have testimonials, but not necessarily All-Star games. But when it comes to the America's pastime of baseball, as much as I dish the sport, the All-Star game holds a lot of relevance just because
Does it hold relevance or does it just hold a special place in your heart?
It's the Midsummer Classic for a reason, man. There's still moments that old-timers still talk about when it comes to the All-Star game.
But does it matter now?
If you want it to be successful, the NBA has done a terrific job with their NBA All-Star Weekend and their exhibition. Why can't MLS do something as grand?
They're trying, but I think they would be better off doing an East versus West.
And you think that's going to fix the issue? Because, really
I think it's going to be more fun to watch. If you are a fan of Major League Soccer, you would much rather see that than see them play against stars.
Yeah, but if you're a soccer fan in America who doesn't watch MLS, aren't you way more impressed with the fact that Joao Felix just decimated supposedly the best players in North America?
How are you not disappointed that a in-form all-star Major League Soccer team cannot compete against a preseason European superpower?
No, I was actually going to say I actually agree with you on the point that I don't care that they lost because you're asking for all these athletes who don't play together to play together and win against.
And that's why all-star games never matter. That's my point.
Well, I'm about to say, as the European in the room, I've got a lot of opinion on this. This is like a preseason bloody game. It's not. It doesn't matter. When the score doesn't matter, the game doesn't matter, the players don't matter, the coach changes the players, and then they don't fit together. Football is about a cohesive package.
I really like how we agree on a lot of things on this show. It's great because it means we get a team up against Justin. But here's the thing.
But I was the one that just said it doesn't matter.
The coach of the MLS All-Star Game this was what he was thinking the entire time. Are you ready? He wasn't thinking, okay, how do I actually go out and win this game?
No.
It was, how do I go out? How do I rotate the players so that all of the other coaches in Major League Soccer aren't pissed off at me because I overplayed their players on a midweek game that doesn't matter?
Yeah.
It is kind of silly that
you asked the Copa America finalists to do an All-Star game.
Not to mention that CONCACAF,
all the fans to go.
CONCACAF and MLS teamed up to do that whole League Cup thing in the middle.
Don't get us started on that.
But when it comes to the MLS All-Star Game, don't you think that the MLS can do a better job of making it a more marquee event to where, again...
It's hard when you do it in the middle of the week on a game that nobody really cares about.
Okay, already.
But see,
you
just mentioned the big caveat of that entire game.
Don't care about it.
Unlike baseball, where it has all that history here, where you can get away with a midweek game, soccer doesn't have that here.
No.
Maybe they need to move it to a weekend.
I don't think it would matter because then you have to disrupt the entire week. This is going to be the first Premier League season where they have a split weekend games, where they've got some on 1 week and then they have to take the week off, the 5 days off in between. It doesn't help. It doesn't help when you have to do something like that, and it would be much better if you would just do an East versus West, because then you actually get to see which league or which conference is the best.
What about do North versus South?
Because there isn't a North versus South conference.
But we could split it up in a weird way where it does.
Why
make
would
some
we
sense.
do that? Why would we split the conferences up in a way that they're not split? That's the exact same problem that we have now.
I have given my opinion.
I've given my opinion too. I've yelled way too much. In the
I know,
first
man.
segment of
This really struck a nerve with you. I
No,
didn't
it
realize
struck a
your
nerve
disdain for the All-Star game.
It's
MLS, fix your All-Star game so Zach will stop yelling.
Yeah, please. And it's one of those things. It's like
East versus West.
East versus West
Well,
All-Star game.
you know what, though? Would you take this? I would like to steal a page from NBA All-Star Weekend and not necessarily have a celebrity game, although I think that will come with time, but have a Rising Stars game. Like they have all the best rookies play against all the best sophomores, and then they have the actual All-Star game the next day. Not a fan of showcasing the young talent that comes to MLS that's supposed to be so great.
East versus West. How hard is it to do East versus West?
You can still have East versus West, but
All right.
you wouldn't want to see a Rising Stars game if you're all about MLS and having young talent.
At ease.
Okay.
We're in the Spurs
Fine.
pub. Can I move on to some real news? Tottenham's Dybala bid accepted by Juventus, $78 million. It's going to Tottenham.
Should we take a break first and then we get into all that?
We could do.
I'm not sure. I'm just asking. How's everybody doing beer-wise?
That is a good
You're
point,
almost,
actually.
he's almost empty.
And if I'm going to talk about Spurs, then yeah.
You're at the
probably need a
Spurs
beer.
bar. You probably need to,
Yeah.
pay the bartenders a little bit. You
Yeah.
got to run up the tab
Is
just
Ricky
a bit.
Villa still playing?
All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to let Johnathan refill his glass. You've been listening or watching the Throw-In ATX. This
And
is
download the...
We are live at Mr. Tramps, the Tottenham bar. We want you guys to come out. We're going to tell you, hopefully, at the end of the show where we're going to be next week, but stay tuned to our social media for that at the Throw-In ATX. Again, you've been watching the Throw-In. Thanks to our friends over at SHN Sports. Be sure to hit subscribe, and you will get notified every single time they go live, including for our little show here. Again, we're going to take a quick beer break. We'll be right back on the Throw-In. No, what are you doing?
What are you
that
doing?
That was funny.
What are you doing?
Keep trying to hold up the soccer ball. What are you doing?
Throw it.
There you go. You got to go the other way. Yeah. No, it's. Oh, okay. Welcome back to the Throne. We are live in Mr. Tramps. We've got our beautiful logo designed by Justin Simmons behind us here.
So he is good at something.
So he is.
Ah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm great or anything. It's just basic stuff.
Well, we said good at something. Good at one thing, not great at everything.
Look, he's got his own.
He's got his own.
Design.
Did you see what he did? Did you see what he did? He threw that at our one guest, our one birthday guest, and he threw it at him when we started the show.
I got him a beer before we even started.
No, I thought this was the entire Tottenham Hotspur supporting club.
Well, you should see it on game days.
Yeah, it derives more than
they
one
have their
person.
own sign. I want to get Leon a little bit maybe later on in the show to talk about their sign at the bar over there. They have a rule that says you are not allowed to get on the bar. You're not allowed to stand on the bar top. And it's because of that group. Every great sign has a story, and I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, though, the Austin Spurs, awesome organization, man. They do a lot of stuff here in the Austin community, and this Mr. Tramps here is their home bar. But if you never, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, if you've never been to a game with Austin Spurs, you will get a Lone Star for free for that game. Is that correct? All right, so, yeah.
That's one way to go.
So if you're still looking for a team in Austin, I know they can.
And you're a fan of free beer. You can,
or maybe you're a San Antonio Spurs fan and wanting to use some of that stuff in crossover.
There's the connection. I think that's how a number of Premier League fans in the Central Texas area pick their team. They go, okay, I know of the San Antonio Spurs.
So the other one's supposed to be good.
So the other one must be just as good.
Never seen a Tottenham player dunk anything, though.
Well.
Except his donut.
Soccer and basketball, it's like apples and oranges.
I bet you Kerry King can dunk.
Now that is an all-star game I'd like to watch.
I don't know if he can dribble, but I'm pretty sure he can dunk.
All right.
Peter Crouch could dunk.
You would hope. Considering how tall he is, he might not have those ups.
I don't know where to go from there, guys. We're not going to talk this entire show.
I know Ronaldo can dunk.
We are not talking about soccer players that can dunk. That I can assure you here.
Okay, where are we going?
We are going to talk about Dybala. We teased it before the break.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've wanted to talk about. So it's one of the biggest transfers, I'd say, of the off season.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You definitely have a hot take.
No, not so much a hot take, but it's just happened. And I think that, Tottenham aren't, like Arsenal, aren't known for big transfers. They're beginning to build a dynasty that they didn't have before.
Dynasty.
Well, I think so. Harry Kane, the players that they've got, the way they played last year, the beauty of Tottenham is they've always played great football. They play a good game. They play a fun game to watch, which over the years has won many trophies.
Yeah, no.
But they're always a wonderful side to watch play football.
And you think this will help them?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it's one of the big. I mean, everybody's on about Harry Mcguire at 80 million to United, but he's a defender, and I think he'll be great for United. But I think that this is
the most expansive transfer for a defender ever.
Do you think that $2 million bothers Dybala? The fact that he's not quite there with the defender.
No.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, it's different. It's
does the money matter?
You play for North London Tottenham. They don't spend money. It's well known. It's how they started the team.
And it's how they've been able to keep it sustained.
They don't spend the money. Hey, Tottenham.
Yeah. Until really recently, though, because now they have the new stadium. They've
spent all the money.
And
it's all done.
And they have more than just
Dybala. We gotta charge people more money now.
Well, the thing with Dybala, though, is that it's not official just yet. Like, they agreed
it's
on.
Happening.
They have to still agree on his actual transfer, like his actual wage.
So what exactly has happened? Because there's a lot of people here that don't necessarily know the difference between a bid being accepted and the transfer being complete.
The
because
teams
it's not
have
a done
agreed
deal.
that the player can be transferred because they accepted the bid that the club was wanting. They met the money.
You're saying
the reserve.
a lot of big words.
It's like an eBay auction. Once you hit the number that the buyer was looking for, it's an automatic
It's like
sale.
an eBay auction. I think you might be the.
But
if he arrives with one leg in North London,
it's going to be okay.
He ain't gonna be playing.
Oh, okay. So it's not okay. It's not okay if he ends up with one leg.
But you know what I mean.
But then now the agents and the player have to speak with the team and see if they can agree upon things that would happen in the contract. How much they're going to get paid per week, what other things will be included within that contract, if they can move family, if they get a free house, do they have sponsorships included, a portion of the gate
Bus
receipts?
pass.
Who knows? Bus pass. You never know what they would want. It's like a writer.
We've been yelling too much, and they've closed the door to the podcast room.
We've been yelling too much?
Oh, yeah.
You've been yelling
well,
too
okay,
much.
I've been yelling too much. I've been very passionate about the topics of this show.
Spurs.
Oh, well, not right now.
Okay.
So, where do we want to go from here? Because that's not the only big transfer that's taken place in the offseason.
Let's talk about Harry Mcguire for a second, because I said on the previous show that I thought it was all a bit too much, everybody bidding for Harry Mcguire. But now I've kind of done my digging on this. I'm beginning, and also what you said last week, which was his performance for England was really impressive, and I do think he stole the show a little bit, and I do think that it's a big story for English football, and I say that as an Englishman. We just talked about Rooney. We don't have that many players.
Is any story not a big story for English football?
Well, it's a bigger story.
Ipswich being relegated is not a big story.
Oh,
but it's one that is close to.
But it's always a bigger story when it involves an English player, and you're talking English football.
But I'm exactly. And what I'm saying is, Rooney is an exception. There's a few others that are world-class players. And clearly the world thinks that Harry Mcguire is a world-class player.
Well,
and the fact that they managed to keep him in England at, one of the top teams in the world, Manchester United, is great. But I hadn't really given a real thought process to how good he really potentially is.
Well, they made fun of City when they decided to take John Stones, and they paid him a lot of money, but then we saw that it actually paid off in the end.
Yeah.
He might still be a little overrated, but I believe he's going to slot in as a starter this coming season for them, and I know we'll get into that when we talk about our Premier League preview. But for Manchester United to go out and spend this money, at least they were trying to fix their biggest weakness. I mean, that back line was atrocious last year. And even the holdovers that they have, they weren't going to fix the problem this year. So they went out, and then, if anything, there's just a lot of pressure on Harry Mcguire because now he has to play to that potential. He could do it at Leicester. We're talking 40 games.
But my point is, as an English fan, Harry Kane, Harry Mcguire, these are players that need to be playing in the top 5 of the Premier League team-wise, Liverpool. But because they've got so much money, Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United, they can have any player in the world, and that's what they do. So English players don't, frankly, get into the teams. Vardy wouldn't have been, noticed had Leicester not got to the Premiership. And frankly, he may never have got to the height he's got. I mean, these are players. And as an Englishman, you share this as an American. Your players need. That's why I'm excited for Pulisic. Your players have got to play at the highest level, or they don't improve.
Well, let's talk about Pulisic because I think there is a split amongst the show right now as to whether or not.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, as to whether or not it's going to make a big difference for the U.S. men's national team, him playing, in Chelsea, and whether or not it'll be a benefit to the U.S. men's national team.
If he plays well, of course it's going to be a great benefit.
Even if he doesn't? Even if
that's tough, though.
No, you know what?
He's young.
That wasn't what I was going to say. I think Pulisic going to the Premiership at what, 22, 23?
Yeah, 22.
22.
Maybe 21.
Is one of the biggest news story. I think it's one of the biggest news stories for MLS and American football in the last decade. And I mean that because, sure, you've had Donovan, you've had keepers, you've had guys. Plenty of players from the States have played at the highest level in the Premier League. But this is the first big spend by a big team that can afford anybody, frankly. He walks onto that pitch in 6 days' time as that crowd, that horrible cauldron, fantastic cauldron if you're not playing. But if you're at Chelsea, the expectation is we spent all this money, do it.
So what happens?
I mean, look at the players that have played for Chelsea at the midfield from all the great Italians to, all the great buys they've ever had. And Pulisic is now the next man. And that's why I say it's great for American soccer is that
But if it's a flop, what does that mean?
I don't think it will be a flop. I mean, look at him. He's fantastic. I mean, he genuinely is go back to the Rooney thing. He's a world-class player, I think.
I don't disagree with you. I just worry. Like, I'm a pessimist, I guess, at heart. So
I don't know how
worry
good Chelsea are as an overall team, but I think his
that's the problem.
contribution will be brilliant.
Well, the problem is, though,
and they'll love him.
Last year, Chelsea had the guy who's on the FIFA cover this year because that's how good Eden Hazard is.
Yeah.
He's replacing Eden Hazard.
That's the biggest problem he's got.
And they didn't get any better anywhere else. So you're asking a lot of this guy. And he's going to make mistakes because he is young.
The Chelsea fans are learned too. They know that he at 22 cannot fill those boots. There's no way.
I mean, there's no way. I mean, he's going to be fun to watch. And as an American, I would like to see him have success because it might help rid a little bit of that stigma
but that's what
where Americans can't play at the highest level.
Or produce world-class players. And this is absolutely a world-class. I know he's played in Europe already, and I know he's been nurtured. But the point is, this is a genuine product of the American system of the last 10 years. And I say, brilliant.
I still disagree with you when you say that, though, man, because he's not a product of MLS.
He's not
American. But he's not part of he's not a product of the American system. His coaching came from Europe because he was fortunate enough.
Great. So that's what we should do with more Americans.
That's where we go back into the whole conversation. Is like because of the way our system is set up, it doesn't need to change in order to produce more world-class players like that. Because obviously the current system hasn't really produced any world-class players like it.
Well, this goes back to my point. Exactly about how the Harry Mcguires of this world and the Harry Kanes of this world, you've got to be playing at the highest level to make your national team as good as it can be. And I do believe that Pulisic playing for Chelsea in a world-class team, and like I said, it is. You look at the 11 or the 22 that they get to pick from, he's going to be rubbing shoulders with the very best, and he's going to be playing against the very best and being marked by the very best. And I think that is more intense than playing for your national team, which may not be up to a world-class level. Every weekend, every game he plays, he will be playing against the very best in the world.
Guys, we're going to take another quick break.
I was going to say you had nothing
I got passionate about that.
You did. And
As a non-American.
They've already closed the door just a little bit more because 2 out of 3 of us have now been yelling and trying to get, all of our passions out here. So we're going to take another quick break. You've been listening to The Throw-In. Coming up after this break, we'll have more on the Premier League. And you know what? Austin FC just opened up their virtual reality experience, the Austin FC experience, to get people excited about the 2021 season to come and about the stadium that is currently being built. We're going to talk about that and more. You're listening to The Throw-In. All right. We are back here at Mr. Tramps, guys. We are off of 183. We are live. This is the Throw-In ATX. You are watching us thanks to our friends over at SHN Sports. Again, go ahead and hit subscribe on that. You'll get notified every single time they go live. That's what we want. We want you guys to know when we are starting the show because, to be honest, we don't even know where we are going to be next week. So if it's just that easy for you guys to click a button and watch us wherever we are, that's what the goal of the show is.
We're on the north side. We're going to stay on the north side, I guess, because we're just going to wait for our MLS team
there it
to
is.
come. Come on.
We got a little while to wait, though, still.
Yeah.
But we have a coach. That's more than what
We
Miami
have a coach.
could say.
We have a coach, but is he a wolf in sheep's bloody clothing?
And there we go. If you missed that show where we talked about our new coach in Josh Wolf, go ahead and catch that on the replay, SHN Sports.
I think it's a great move.
It's a great hire. We had differing opinions on the show last time
did.
around, so go ahead and check out that episode. But, guys, we want to hop back into our conversation about the Premier League because it's that time. It's starting. We are less than a week away, and, guys, I am tired of seeing preseason polls that have Manchester
preseason
City.
Games.
Well, that too, but
They're like all-star games.
we've
had that conversation.
We've already had that conversation. I am tired of seeing preseason polls that have Manchester City at the very top and nobody but Manchester City. You know, sometimes when you have all of these preseason polls, there's a little bit of wiggle room in there. Some people say, Manchester City will do it. Some people say, Manchester United maybe one year. You know, no one ever said Leicester City would do it, but that's beside the point. But every single one that I've looked at online has said Manchester City will be at the top yet again, and that bores me to death.
Well,
I don't know.
The other team should do something better about it because clearly City is probably the deepest team in the Premier League.
You mean they have philosophical thoughts about Euripides, or?
Well, not only that, but they also have like.
Or is there another deep metaphor that you're getting into?
Position for position.
Oh, like depth of positions.
Yes, they have two deep. Pretty much every position except for maybe left back. There is no other team in the league that is full of firepower like City has on two levels. Not even Liverpool, when they start going to their bench, can match the depth of City.
No, but Liverpool lost by 1 point. It hurt. And I think that Liverpool are going to come out firing on all the cylinders. I think they've probably done a lot of soul-searching over the winter, and they realized that they can do this, they can be champions, and they're finally back to what Liverpool fans expect them to be, which is champions.
So let's narrow it down a little bit. Let's say your top – let's start easy. Let's say your top four in the Premier League for the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah.
I have it City, Liverpool. I'll say Spurs for right now. As long
Is that just because we're at the Spurs bar?
No, it's because you have to give them credit for being the CL finalists.
They're not going to clear your tab.
It doesn't matter. They got to the Champions League final last year with a team that was basically untouched from the year previously. This year, they actually went out and spent some money. If they can maintain Eriksen and actually get this Dybala deal through, if Eriksen walks to United and they get Dybala out of it, that would still make them a very dangerous team because Pochettino, as long as he stays throughout the rest of the season, I feel that they have another shot at least making a play for the Premier League title, if not getting back to where they were in CL, as long as those other bigger teams falter along the way. And they got Ndombele from Lyon. He's going to be great. Like, you haven't seen it yet, but I'm telling you, he's going to be really, really good. And fourth, I would have Arsenal above Man U or Chelsea just because.
Is that because you're a homer?
Why would I care about Arsenal? They got Nicholas.
You would care about Manchester United, though.
We hate Arsenal and we hate Arsenal.
We also hate Man United with a passion. But Arsenal got Nicolas Pepe. The big concern there is, can Aubameyang and Lacazette fit next to Pepe? Or will they play just two and one of them will sit the bench? But that's a lot of scoring power because both Aubameyang and Lacazette were like in the top 5 of scoring goals last year in the Premier League. Like, try to stop that. I know Chelsea walked today, but
do I have to name 4?
Yeah, name me your top 4. Who would be in your top 4 coming into the season? I know you're a betting man.
I know, and I'd have to say City and Liverpool to me will do battle again. I really do. I don't think
who wins it.
I hope.
Who's your number 1?
I hope Liverpool can, and I do feel that.
But you see that you don't even have that type of reassurance like I do in City. What's up, Lee?
Well, you're a City fan.
What
Yeah,
So the question was what?
I think by losing from a point last year, they now have the confidence. I mean, for the last 5 years, everybody's believed that Manchester City are just the new Real Madrid of the Premier League. They've bought the players, they've got the stars, and they have played.
They bought the title. Wait, what?
No, but with Pepe, they've looked.
We can
awesome.
say the same thing about the '99 Manchester United squad.
Liverpool, and I think Jurgen. I love the way they play. I think there's a passion there now that is good enough to take them over the line. And I think and Manchester City have. I think the difference between Liverpool and Manchester City is that Liverpool have a team.
The mentality is there.
The mentality is there, whereas Manchester City still have a world-class team. But if it falls apart, and we saw it with Chelsea, we saw it with Man United in the glory days. If it goes wrong, they're not able to deal with that side of it. Liverpool need to start well, but I think Liverpool can do it. That said, you'd have to. If I were a betting man, yes, of course, Manchester City would be your betting thing. The third and fourth is a tough one.
Yeah, that's where it gets difficult.
I don't think United, even with all of the players they've got, I don't think Ollie's there. I mean, Ollie's going to be a great coach, I think, and a great manager, I think, but not this year. I think it'll take time. It'll take a couple of years. I think we may see a surprise in that, I think Chelsea and Arsenal will be there or thereabouts, but you might see, I don't know, a West Ham or an Everton, even a Newcastle.
That would be incredible.
Just
Not even close, man.
So before I
I
even
don't see it happening.
say what I want to say about my top four for the Premier League this season, I want to know what you guys at home are thinking. If you are watching on the live stream right now, over on SHN Sports' YouTube page, we want to know. You can type your top four in the comment section there. You can hit us up on Twitter at the ThrowInATX. Any of our personal accounts, I'm at Soccer is a Sport. We've got at Speed City or Speed Green. That's what
me.
it is.
That's him.
And at the Smash Simmons.
Don't forget, you can also send those messages and DMs in the Twitter at the ThrowInATX, both on Instagram and on Twitter.
Justin would love for you to slide into his DMs. Now, unfortunately for me, I also agree.
It's only half true.
I'm glad you moved on.
Yeah. I don't think that Manchester United has what it takes, despite what Vegas and the odds makers have to say. I don't think they have what it takes to finish top four.
Whoa.
I don't.
That's a Man U fan.
It's a Man U fan saying it, and it's the hard truth. I think right now
you're
not
an
right.
Arsenal fan. You're not a pessimist at heart.
There's going to be improvement over last year, but I don't think that there's 2 spots worth of improvement. And so I
Baby
think
Assassins babes aren't going to come bullish to the ball game?
I think they're going to finish
That's
fifth.
a good headline.
I think it's a great headline. They're going to finish fifth is my prediction for
You
United.
have them finishing fifth?
I do.
I have them finishing sixth behind Chelsea.
Ooh.
Again.
And I'll tell you why. It's just because you guys got Mcguire, but you guys didn't add anybody else. And you lost out on Dybala. And you still have Lukaku, who has no first touch.
Hang on a minute.
So we lost out on Dybala. We didn't lose any players.
Have they got Lukaku? He's in Belgium training up and down fields. That's all I see on Sky News is him up and down. But no one's saying if he's actually staying or not. With Pogba, is he still in Australia or what?
Yeah. They're not leaving
they leave
right
it now?
I don't think they're leaving right now. I think they have to play at least the first half of the season.
Real is still looking for Pogba, right?
Yeah, every team still wants to try
2
to make a
days to
move,
go.
but there's only 48 hours left within the transfer window in the Premier League.
He doesn't want to be at United, I don't
He
think.
does not want to be at United. But maybe
I don't know
the same
why,
thing.
but
The same thing happened to David De Gea last year,
yeah.
and they seem to have squashed his wanting to leave. But then again, he didn't respond well last year either. So, do you think Ole gets enough time this year to prove that he can right the ship? Because they finished sixth last year. I haven't finishing sixth again this year. Everton, I'm hoping that they actually get over the hump this year and finish to get into a European spot in seventh.
It all depends on how the season goes, especially at Manchester United. We know that their fans, much like the University of Texas, are fickle. So if they're winning, it's great. If they're losing, not so much.
And the press is tough.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, Ollie's not the finished article, but I do think that he's the perfect player stroke now manager to come back to United and be believed in. And that's a big part of it.
So that does leave an opening, though, in my top four. And I honestly, I am hopeful.
Leicester?
No, not Leicester. I am hopeful that Chelsea can squeeze in there. Because if they can get in under the power of Pulisic, I think that would be huge for legitimizing Americans in the Premier League.
I mean, it'd be great, but I think you guys are placing way too much promise on Pulisic to drag a team that didn't make any changes. I'm talking about none, because they couldn't, because they were under the ban.
Now, I'll tell you what.
They have Mount, who's a good young prospect as well. But they haven't made any other changes, and you lost one of the best players in the world, and you're asking Pulisic to drop. I just top 5, top 6 maybe, but top 4, top 3, no.
How great would it be to have an American in Champions League, though?
It'd be nice,
That'd
but
be
I
awesome.
mean, I don't think it's going to be.
Think about that.
I don't think it's going to be as game changing as you think it will be. I think you guys are kind of overshooting how much of an impact it will have on other players here, at least in the most immediate aftermath.
What about the
of that.
fans?
I don't think that's going to change anything except for people that weren't soccer fans
Every
before.
American fan watches the Premier League. If we've got somebody in the game that we like, I mean, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I'll watch Chelsea games just to watch Pulisic.
I mean, I'll watch him play. I'll watch his highlights, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch a Chelsea game just because he's playing in it.
I would.
Because it's not my team.
Yeah, but I'm following American players. I want Americans to do
I'll
well.
watch the highlights. I just said it.
So what is
Tough
the big
team.
surprise from this season
I've got
going
one more
to
prediction.
be?
I've got one more prediction.
Okay.
That you're going to laugh at me here, but it's the only English
Well, what
team
have we
left.
what have we done except laugh at each other this entire show?
Right, well, it's the only English Premiership team that is actually English, and this is a shout-out to my dad. Burnley, 1,000 to 1.
There it is.
But they could be the sixth team. They were in the top 7 early on last year.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah, they
I
could.
love-
It takes a lot more to finish there than it does to start there.
I love the
but-
manager. I think I love I love the whole setup there. There's a
You know what? And
the romance.
at the same
romantic
odds,
in me says, "Come on."
at the same odds, a good friend of my father's is an Aston Villa fan, and I'd
Oh,
love to see
Lord.
them. I'd love
Yes.
to see them do well this year.
All right,
I don't
Villa.
think they will.
Up to Villa, yes.
Yeah,
Not the
that
first
first
week.
ain't going to be.
Says the Tottenham
The
fan.
good thing is Villa and Burnley can be interchanged because they play in the same kit, really.
There you go. Well, I don't know about that, but
Well, they do.
you know,
Claret and
people,
blue.
okay, we're gonna.
people keep. There's always that argument every year, like which is the best league in the world. And the more that I tried fitting in all these other pretty decent teams in the Premier League, you start realizing, unlike La Liga and Serie A or Bundesliga, like it's a pretty stacked league. When you have a team like Wolves who made some good signings last year, who made some good signings this year,
Well,
and I have them.
Wakey Wanderers.
That's always been the proponent of Premier League, though, is that it's from top to bottom one of the best leagues in the world.
Well, I mean, right now it seems that there's only 4 or 5 teams that could legitimately win it. But if you're still trying to get into a European spot, I mean, Wolves, Leicester City, even West Ham, who finished 10th last year, they made some changes that could be working in their favor this coming year. It's the bottom half of the table. Who do you guys have going down? I mean, I have Newcastle getting close just because they lost a world-class manager. And, yeah, they got St. Maximin, who's a great dribbler, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to get the Toon Army past number 14.
I don't really rate Steve Bruce, to be honest.
Exactly, right? It's like,
And nor do the Newcastle fans,
do you
which is
see
kind of funny.
do you see Newcastle getting relegated this year?
No,
I don't see them
I
getting
don't.
relegated, but I don't see them
I think-
being in the top 10. No.
No, I think they're another one of the middle of the table clubs, and not that there's anything
But
wrong with that.
But are they on the lower end of that middle of the table? Because I
They're
have
not,
them
they're
at
not
15.
so low as to be relegated.
Tell you what, West Ham play good football.
Last year they finished 10th,
Agreed.
and I have them finishing there this year again. I mean, Leicester, they have some young guys, and they were able to remain with Thielsmann. I have them finishing 9th, and that just shows you, like, even with a great starting 11, it's so difficult to break into those areas.
So who do you have at the bottom 3 then? Who do you have getting relegated?
Norwich.
Yep,
I have,
them.
I have Norwich finishing last. I think Sheffield.
Last.
I think Sheffield will do a pretty decent job, and they'll finish 19th, just because I know the fans are really excited about being in the Premier League again.
Yep, those two we agree on.
And like, since the transfer window hasn't ended just yet, there is still the chance that Crystal Palace could lose Wilfred Zaha. And if they lose Zaha, then they have a good chance of being that number 18, number 19. But right now, I'll go with Southampton just because I don't have the faith in them this year, because they were so atrocious last year that they barely pulled off surviving the
I'm with
Premier
you on
League.
that. If I'm going to choose relegation, I would choose Southampton, Watford, and Palace.
Palace already. That's with Zaha? Yeah, with Zaha. Ooh. I know they lost Wan-Bissaka. That was a big loss for them this year.
Tough.
What about you, Zach?
I agree. I think Sheffield United, Norwich City, those are 2 clubs. you hate to see it, though. You hate to see that, so early on, a week before the Premier League's even going to, start, we're already saying who's going to finish last. A lot can happen. I mean, I think you could say the same about Leicester the year they won the league.
I know.
And that's the thing. We could be all dead wrong.
There would be pundits that would have definitely picked Leicester to go down.
Oh, yeah. No,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure there were. And I'm sure that, if any of, these clubs actually do end up winning.
5,000 to 1.
Yeah, that was the thing. And this year, the biggest odds that I have in front of me now are 2,000 to 1.
Yeah.
So any of these clubs have, I don't really know how Vegas odds works, but I assume that 5,000 to 1 versus 2,000 to 1, they're better odds to lose than anyone else.
And Manchester City 5 to 8. I mean, you can't even bet on it.
Yeah, I mean,
at least, if I really were a betting man, I'd bet on United at 20 to 1 and Tottenham at 40 to 1, and maybe Chelsea or Arsenal because they're 20 and 30 to 1. If I'm trying to make money.
Now, can you explain this?
Can
you explain the betting odds in 5 seconds or less?
Yeah. Well, basically the favorites are Manchester City. So basically the casino is saying we don't want to. Fine if you bet, but we're going to keep our money.
Yeah.
9 to 4 at Liverpool means it's sort of either way. It's like, okay, they could be good, they could be bad, and if you put $10 down, you'll make a few.
Okay.
But if you're a betting man, you would go with Wolverhampton at 150 to 1, which is good odds because the house is saying there's no way that Wolverhampton are going to win the league. But if you put
So what does that mean? 150 to 1. It means if you
put $100 down, you're going to get 150.
Okay.
That's it. You're good to go.
There we go.
But that's
as a non-betting man, I don't know the way of the world in this.
Yeah. So all right, if you put $1 down, you're going to get $150.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to go, close out my bar tab now while I still have some money in the bank.
But that's why Manchester City are 5 to 8, which is, even if in other words, you can put your money down and you won't lose it, but you
wouldn't win anything back. Okay.
I mean, the team to bet on would be if you're a really big betting man, you would bet on 1,000. You would bet.
If you're a big betting man,
I mean, not being funny, you would bet on Burnley because it would be your Leicester City. And there was a guy who made a fortune on Leicester.
But how much would you bet on Burnley? That's the question.
Yeah, I put $100. That's 100,000, maybe.
If they win it, that's the best $100 that you ever spend if you win it.
Yeah.
I don't have that type of money just sitting around right now.
The house always wins. Just
there
remember that. If you want to bet, don't bet.
All right, let me ask you guys this. Your preseason player of the year, who do you think ends up winning Premier Player of the Year this year? Last year, Harry Kane already? You think he's going to dominate?
Yep.
Oh, well, Lee's happy with that. You're not just saying that because Lee's here, are you?
I'm saying it because Lee's here.
I think he's been bubbling away, and I think I don't think we've seen the best of him yet.
I agree with that. And, I'm not also just saying that because we're here, at Mr. Tramps, and because I, want them to, close out my tab and not beat me up on the way out the door.
Harry owns his bar, doesn't he?
He might. I mean, he has not a majority stake, but a minority stake at least. So,
I mean, there's so many players, but I think it would be great to see someone like Harry Kane become a full article.
I mean, the guy won the Golden Boot at the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, what else does he have to prove?
I mean, yeah, it's not really a bad bet, is it?
It's not, and that's, I think, what we're getting at, Justin. So who do you have?
I'm going to shock some people. I don't mean to be such a homer, but I really think it's going to be Raheem Sterling.
Here we go.
He was phenomenal last year. He won the Premier League Young Player of the Year award again, but I think this year he actually wins Player of the Year. He's very underrated. I know sometimes he doesn't finish in front of net the first go around, but he'll always get you that goal when you really need it the second go around.
I have to say it would be cool if Raheem Sterling did it because I think he's underachieved in terms of his potential or what everybody thought he might do.
Why does everybody say that? I mean, he's come out. He played well for England. He got you guys to the semifinal of the World Cup.
Did he?
Yeah, he was one of the better players. He started on the 11.
Yeah, but he...
I know Harry Kane scored the goals, but he helped open up the distance.
Don't open the wound here. I'm an England fan, and you are wearing my shirt, and I appreciate
3 lines
that.
on my chest.
But I was disappointed in Sterling because he was there, but if you want
was it the gun tattoo?
If you want to play up front for England, you got to be Keegan. You got to score all the time.
I love the job that Gareth Southgate did.
You got to be Rooney.
I love the waistcoats as well. You guys call them waistcoats, right? Vests?
Yes.
But I felt that he was misplayed in his tactical formation. He's much better as a wing as opposed to out-and-out striker. But I think that is a position that he can grow into if he's allowed to become something like that, and maybe a better version of Lacazette if he's a full-time striker.
I'm excited for Southgate. He's got finally something to work with across the board.
This is probably the most jacked that England has been
I know.
in a long, long time.
We have world-class players.
I'm excited
other
for
than
you.
in terms of, like, forcing him into, I don't know, sleeping with a sheep or something, which makes it English rather than Welsh.
Does anybody know where Bell's going to end up? Is he going to end up just staying in Madrid?
I think he's going to play. He's playing for Cardiff City, isn't he?
That'd be the safe.
In the Welsh Premier League?
Yeah.
Maybe he goes to Scotland.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, if he got rid of the man bun, who knows?
Well, that's a big if.
Yeah, I think he has some look to maintain. He
Anyway,
also has calves
I actually do feel for him because I think he's certainly not past his sell-by. I think he's world-class, but that is Real Madrid for you. They don't give a flying Spanish fly about who you are.
If Coutinho is able to land with Arsenal, is that just too much firepower at Arsenal?
Too much? How can Arsenal have too much? They haven't had any firepower for the last 20 years.
They had two of the top scorers in the league last year.
I know, but they've never done anything. Arsenal are the most underachieving team in the history of
And that's because they
Premier
got
League.
rid of Wenger.
Yeah.
Then they're still in the same boat.
All right, guys, we're creeping up on the hour mark here for this episode of the show. Are there any final thoughts you want to say about the Premier League season before it gets underway? Because keep in mind, this is probably our last show before the start. So if you want to get in right now is your last chance. What prediction do you want to have on the record?
I'm looking at you, kid.
I don't care whatever happens in the season. Watch the first match. Watch Chelsea, whoever you support, because they have an American and a really good one. I'm not a Chelsea fan. I live down the road from them. But no, I never went. You know, I'm an Ipswich fan. I wouldn't go to a Chelsea game. But I'm now going to watch what Pulisic can do as a first-time American at the highest level with a big transfer fee, with a huge amount of pressure having Hazard gone. So watch the first game of this season for sure.
I'm hoping he has some success, especially against Man United, and gets the season off on the right foot. However, when he meets up with City, I'm hoping that maybe he doesn't rise to the occasion, then let City come back and win the title. I'm thinking that this year they truly, truly can win the quadruple. They've already shown you they can win the domestic treble. They already came out and beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. You know, an actual preseason game that means more than the Community Shield than it does in MLS, but that's another discussion for another day.
I think the company
Don't get me roped up again. They already, like, the door just keeps closing more and more and more.
I don't know what he's talking about. I think the company's bust.
All right, this is what I have to say.
Vincent's gone. It's all over. He was I mean, you only have to watch.
He is the heart and soul of that team.
I'm going to say you only needed to watch the All or Nothing series to see how Vincent Kompany was Manchester City.
They will miss him, but they'll have other players.
Please, I'm looking at you. Anyone else in the Premier League, anyone but Manchester City, please win. Because I want every single person, every single person on the internet right now is saying that Manchester City is going to win it all yet again, and I want every single one of them to be wrong. I really do.
And if they're not.
And if any of these things come true, we are going to be talking about it right here on The Throw-In, live from some bar in Austin, Texas. We don't know where we're going to be next, but we know we're going to talk about it on social media at The Throw-In ATX. Again, thank you to today's hosts, Mr. Tramps off 183. We're another stone's throw away from Macalla Place.
I know,
Honestly,
exactly.
we're really close.
We're really close.
So,
you would have mentioned the virtual thing.
Yeah, so the virtual reality thing at Austin FC launched for media members this week. We're going to get more information on that, talk about it on the next show, so stay tuned for that. Again, we don't know where we're going to be, but we will tell you about it on social media, so follow us at The Throw-In ATX. I am personally at Soccer is a Sport on Twitter.
I am Speed Green, and I am personally looking forward to the season ahead.
And I'm Smash Simmons, and we'll see you next time when we get on the show.
Boom.
Sounds good. Enjoy your soccer.